Hello again, everyone. Melth here, with more of a Baldur's Gate 3 challenge run. Full details of the challenge in the YouTube video description, as usual, but to summarize it, I'll be doing no long rest, not healing my party with healing potions, and trying to tackle all encounters with combat and with the hardest configuration of enemies that's available for that particular encounter. Watch out for spoilers throughout this series. If my recording setup seems a bit different this time, that's because it is. I'm in sort of a liminal phase here, where I'm going to be installing a new computer, which will hopefully remove some of the lagging and stuttering that I've had in certain areas in this game since patch 5 came out. But I'm halfway through setting up the new recording setup at this point. Let's grab some treasure over there. It's hidden behind these dangerous mushrooms, but if you go to turn-based mode, they're completely harmless. So, not much of a trap. If you just blow them up, the treasure can be damaged, I believe, so this is why you need to retrieve it. Oop. Not the item I thought it was controlling. You know what, whatever, let me just go ahead and grab it. I could take the backpack itself, but I think pouches are lighter weight while still having the same, basically infinite carrying capacity, so I'll leave it alone. Alright, and we're safe. No harm, no foul. Now over here, if we jump that way, we'd immediately attacked by the Bulette, which is odd because if we go this way, we'll find out the Bulette is actually over here. It's kind of Schrodinger's Bulette. This path, it won't actually attack you on, just kind of another warning shot. Anyway. The Bulette, I'm not going to fight now because there's no point in fighting it, and I'm not really well equipped for it, but also, from what I've heard, it's not working properly in Legendary difficulty yet. It doesn't have all its abilities, so I guess I'll give them a little bit to patch that and make it as challenging as it's supposed to be. If they don't patch it by the time I have a reason to be in the Bulette mandatory fight area, then I guess I'll just fight it as is, but hopefully they'll make it its full challenge level by the time I get there. Well, I could go down that path there and get some more treasure, but I'll be heading that way pretty soon, so to avoid some doubling back, I'll go up here and start talking to these Myconids. Now, I feel like the section kind of goes back and forth about how much free will and personality each Myconid has, because in some conversations it seems like they're all just kind of a hive mind and only the Sovereign really thinks or speaks. Like in this case, we don't talk to this guy, we just talk to the Sovereign through him.
Creature's face and body. A voice drifts into your mind as you gaze upon the misshapen servant.
Leave this one. Come to me. We must speak.
But then, if we do speak with dead over here on this dead one, then they'll kind of play for sympathy, indicating that it's a child, which, like, we wouldn't care if it had no personality anyway, it would just mean it's all part of one individual. It'd be like saying that it was a newly grown hair shaved off of somebody.
It had been merely a child. Like its living
So this one acts as though kind of it does have a personality, I guess, sort of just being a child, being grown in the circle. But then, another indication that doesn't really have a personality is, if you help a different Sovereign take over this circle, immediately everyone's under his control and they all speak with his voice instead, as if they had, again, no personality. But the Hobgoblin will say that they all do have an individual personality, so it feels a little inconsistent. Nonetheless, I think it's a good dialogue. This one is, anyway. Grey Dwarves, of course, are Duergar. There's pretty much an Underdark equivalent for every single surface race or monster type or things like that. Especially in the older editions, there used to be a lot of those sort of palette swap-ish things. Which I don't feel like really is great. It makes Underdark just seem very samey. It's the same as the surface world, just put on sunglasses. These Myconids are a case of a new race that doesn't exist on the surface as far as I'm aware, so that's nice, I guess. Now this feels silly to ask in character in front of all these other mushrooms that are watching with the Sovereign's eyes, I guess, but I'll ask it just to point out that they present many different ways out of character to gain this knowledge, which I think is good design, so I just want to praise that. There's like 3 different ways you can find out about that treasure, and different ways you can get to it too.
You can ask no more questions.
Lots of butterflies around here. We'll also see their dead Duergar spore servants that have kind of reanimated their attackers as zombies. Well, let me cast guidance on myself, because I'm going to do some checks and conversation here momentarily.
Let's get going.
Having a front with plus 2d4 from guidance and being in disguise is pretty sweet. So let's talk to this deep gnome. Again, there's an Underdark equivalent of every single surface race.
Her condition is familiar. Poison, derived from a wild weed common to the Underdark.
Tons of poisons grow in the Underdark, but I mean, that's not different from the surface.
Held by the poison.
So they'll play up, you need the antidote from the poisoner, but really any antidote will do, or the Elixir of Sylvanas that we got from Ned that could cure that poison will do, which I think is good design. Again, just like many things work. Maybe it shouldn't be that any ordinary antidote works, maybe just the Elixir of Sylvanas or the Duergar one should work, because that would make it at least more of a challenge or more special. Because as it is, this is pretty trivial. And makes the whole idea of having to get the antidote from the poisoner completely pointless, if just any old antidote we can buy from the nearby alchemist will do. Oh well. Overall, I'd say it's a pretty well done thing to make it not just be one particular item can cure it, but several could. That's rare and good logical game design, I would say. Makes it feel like a real place rather than just a series of quests where you're forced to do things in a certain order.
You're faking at being a drow.
Several people will say this. I don't really know what they mean by it exactly, because, like, I mean, the drow are hardly the worst thing in the Underdark, really.
Appearances aside, glad you came along.
And, like, it's not like they have any more
Kin who need me.
empathy for non-disguised members of other races.
I don't have time for this. My kin need me. Maybe not, but you are. I need you to rescue my kin.
Now, of course, I'm thinking about how we met
We're Ironhand clan, best artificers in Baldur's Gate.
Barkus Root earlier, and he mentioned he was looking for a deep-known friend of his. So that seems like a connection. My character has little reason to care about that. You know, we already rescued Barkus once. We don't think we'll see him again, probably. But
The Greys have them digging out some old ruin across the lake.
it sounds vaguely interesting, but we have an important thing to do fixing the Mind Flayer parasites right now.
Just mining for materials. Nothing unusual. But our work pays well.
Oh, I failed to save to find out she was lying.
And we'll make it worth your
That makes it
while.
hard to justify doing this.
Thank you. Only wish I could go with you.
I think I had a good chance to succeed that too, but oh well.
I nabbed these boots from the Greys when I ran.
This is another well-designed quest. Like, there's several ways you can get these boots, and then you can either keep them, or you can hand them over, or you can hand them over and then get them back. It's just, again, especially in Act 1, this game has so many great options for how you tackle various quests, which is unusually good design for an RPG. Unfortunately, I don't think Act 2 had as much of that, but here at least it's very good. So let's put on those boots. They're not, like, amazing boots, but right now when they have a lack of magic items, they have their uses. Boots of Speed are often a very powerful item. Here they just kind of let you bonus action double, bonus action dash, which once we have a story as a rogue later on won't matter, but for now it could give him some utility once in a while when he can't close in fast enough. These are not really useful because there aren't spiderwebs, like, anywhere, so no need to deal with that. And then I think I'll... Oh, didn't mean to have him selected. I think I will end my disguise here and just start talking to people as myself, which just makes more sense in character from here on out. I think they're talking about the pile of corpses that I was working on, either mourning, angry, or just hungry.
At its feet.
It's just kind of zombifying all these people.
As the
I might add also, they seem to be able to resurrect their own fallen, so again, it makes it, like, not seem that important if some of them got killed, because they can just be resurrected. It's a temporary inconvenience. It's like being hospitalized or something.
vision grips you. Duergar, dark dwarves chopping Myconid remains.
That's Gek Cole, their leader, who we'll be meeting soon. So he looks, like, sad about that, but
Sovereign songs slow.
it's, again, kind of hard to tell how much individuality they really have, given that different conversations suggest different things.
We laid waste to many, but intruders remain.
I think my interpretation will be they do have individuality, and conversations that suggest otherwise are probably the ones that are
As it
not to be taken literally.
I sense your resolve. You will find Duergar invaders near Lake's Edge. Cleanse the rot. Destroy them.
Duergar invaders.
If Leiboingzel speaks up here, she'll say something insane about how, let's just spill blood, I don't care whose, Myconid or Duergar, which doesn't even make sense as a motivation. She should be saying just to ignore them and focus on getting cured, rather than let's flip a coin and kill one side for no reason.
The sovereign song twists.
These are all classic Duergar abilities they've had for many editions. Changing size with, like, enlarged person, turning invisible, things like that. Craven Divinity is what I think will interest my character. He wonders if maybe this is connected to this cult we've been dealing with.
Duergar, choking on a
think the gift is not actually one of their poison spore grenades, as I recollect. It's something better than that. It's one of, in fact, the best items in the entire game.
The sovereign gift
So make sure not to skip this conversation. You want this item.
all the vine
I think if you kill them first, you don't get it. That is, if you kill the Duergar first, you don't get it. So always talk to this guy before killing the Duergar.
Cleanse the rot, and they are yours.
Well, it does sound fairly tempting. Although we do need to keep working on our Mind Flayer parasite problem. He's kind of hoping to get a motive about this,
the sovereign says
but we don't really get one.
but you
So maybe it's just being a good person, or good fungoid. Haste spore grenades are amazing. Haste is a pretty strong spell in this game because worse than 5e, it's actually overrated and pretty darn bad. Here in this game, it gives someone just a free extra action they can do whatever they like with, including casting a spell, which is amazing. Or, until the recent Honor mode came out, you could do a full round of extra attacks with it. Now you can only do one attack, but still pretty good. But when it wears off, you get lethargic and lose a turn. And normally the haste spell is only one target, or a haste potion, if you crowd people together, you can maybe hit 3 if they're really packed in. But it only lasts 3 turns. However, this haste spore grenade creates like a cloud that just gives haste to anyone walking through it for like several turns, with no drawbacks whatsoever. So you can haste like infinite numbers of summons and whatnot with it. It's amazing. You should hoard as many haste spore grenades as you can and use them for all the tough fights. Alright, let's go over and talk to some of our new merchant friends here. And maybe Astarion will smell an opportunity to steal some stuff. It's lacking a bit here. There is a lot to render in this area, seemingly.
Have a lot on my mind. And, well, in it.
Eager for battle.
Well, let's have you go ahead and talk to Blurg. So Blurg is a hobgoblin, who are kind of a much more militaristic, competent, and clean variety of goblin, and much more respectable.
Observe the customs of the locals.
There's only a couple of them in the game. There's him, Duergar,
voice
who leads the goblins. Hobgoblins often lead goblins because hobgoblins have brains.
mind to mind.
Blurg, proud member of the Society.
And we'll meet a few people from this Society of Brilliance in Act 1, then be able to find their headquarters in Act 3, which is pretty interesting. While he's distracted by this, seems a good chance to have Astarion do anything stealing he's going to be doing.
Your mind is far more complex than that of the fungi.
Not that it matters again, but I think Astarion would probably disguise himself. I don't know. Sure. Oh, he hasn't turned around? Usually they turn around to face whatever direction the character is facing. Oh well. We'll just loot it like so. Oh, I didn't actually click it. I just clicked the first tier, then didn't select which of the 2 identical guidances to provide. Which is a somewhat silly system. Burning through my thieves' tools on this chest here. There we go. In order to make it look less like a theft in character, he might only take the scrolls leaving the food supplies and money. Well, the mage armor scroll could be useful. Kind of. I'll probably have enough because I only need to cast like 1 per act, but, you know, eh. Maybe I'll use the click heals here to get some more speed to get more stuff and then get out. Oh, I'm not in turn-based mode. Whoops. Yeah, you can keep your grease bottle. And then he'll slip away. And I think Ballista's probably distracted throughout this. He didn't know about it in character. Gotta be careful walking around here. There's several booby trap mushrooms. Okay, let's get back to Ballista.
The feeling is mutual, friend. I have only passing familiarity with the surface races.
That's a little bit odd because the Society of Brilliance do have a surface headquarters, and I don't think of goblins as living only in the Underdark.
So
They often have armies on the surface and whatnot.
they live in harmonious
At least that used to be the way it was. Maybe they changed their lore to only be underground in some edition.
personality. My colleagues and I are working
I'm getting some screen tearing at the bottom there. I might save after this conversation and then try to switch up my graphics settings to see if that fixes it. That's usually a matter of VSync being turned on and off, which again only became a problem after patch 5.
It's curious to find a surface dweller here. What has brought you down so deep?
I guess we don't have a good explanation for why we're here exactly.
Truly remarkable.
We're just kind of exploring a bit, thinking we can get back up with our waypoints immediately.
The dark, where they hold so much power. You were infected by an illicit tadpole. It's a miracle you're still intact. You must be worried sick, but have no fear. I have a friend who may be able to assist.
Duergar and Omeluum are quite helpful. This is an interesting and good moment, I would say. We did see them talking before as we kind of looked down, although we couldn't see Omeluum in person. Zorko, though, is kind of a fungus that's used as a construction material and occasionally a food in the Underdark. These guys are basically trying to find new ways to farm crops that people don't need to fight over resources as much in the Underdark, which is a pretty noble and reasonable goal in character, I think. So Omeluum's a Mind Flayer. Again, a cool reveal there. Now, you should never, ever trust a Mind Flayer. This is not to say there aren't any good ones. There are. They're usually listed as being, usually lawful evil or something like that. But never trust them, because it is in their nature to be deceitful and to feign noble causes when they don't actually have them.
One of my brethren forced a tadpole into your eye.
I've never found really any evidence whatsoever that Omeluum is actually anything less than what he appears. Unlike the other Mind Flayers that pretend to be your friends in the game. Omeluum actually does, when you evaluate the evidence, seem to be as he presents himself. But my character doesn't know that yet, so he doesn't trust him right now.
I see. I will remain here if you change your mind.
So he's going to turn and talk to Le Boingzel at this point.
The infamous Underdark. Don't worry of the dangers you can see. Worry of the dangers you can't.
I mean, we can see everything in here. It's so brightly lit. But good point about the Duergar that are going to be invisible. So I'm asking her an honest question here, and I get like a hostile response for no reason and no intelligent answer.
Know the cure for our condition. It is imperative we locate a creche.
She tells me to stop asking questions, which is not the attitude that an intelligent person who actually knows things would ever have.
If you must know, Vlaakith requires everything of her children.
So she says that she can't even measure basically how many people she killed, because her queen just arbitrarily demands it. Including a bunch of fellow Githyanki children.
Know only blood red and death black. My mind is silver, and my body steel.
Your mind might well be an unthinking block of silver. That sounds about right, Le Boingzel.
Survive every beast I face and every...
The rest of us survive these things by being, smart and asking questions. So, none of this makes me think that the Githyanki can actually help us. Maybe this Mind Flayer would actually know something about this. So now, having been convinced that she knows nothing, he will actually talk to Omeluum.
I greet you, son.
Looks like the screen tearing has fixed itself, so maybe I'll just keep going.
That is not as
This is a totally enormous lore change from previous editions. In 5th edition and in this game, suddenly Mind Flayers are all part of a hive mind with no individuality. That was not the case previously. So, or at least not all the time previously. I don't really like that change at all, but that's the way it is in this game now.
An almost childlike joy.
This kind of fits. It used to be said that Mind Flayers could not feel happiness. The closest they ever came was just sated curiosity. They just like learning things. So, that fits.
what lurks within.
I feel like with these other guys guarding me, I'm probably going to be okay here. Certainly can't be worse than having this parasite eating my brain. And renegade Mind Flayers are the greatest enemies of Mind Flayer colonies.
Almost smug.
This is most unusual. The incubation period should be complete, as should your transformation.
There's that screen tearing again.
larva is infused with strange magic. It appears to be in some form of stasis. No, it appears to be shielded.
If we can't get him to talk about his background, he'll reveal basically that he was born with essentially sorcery, which Mind Flayers have always hated for what used to be good reasons and are now stupid reasons.
Severe trauma.
It used to be that Mind Flayers were totally okay with arcane magic, and they'd have, wizards as their favorite class and whatnot, but sorcery in particular they didn't like, because Mind Flayers should not have access to sorcery. The only way they could have it is if the people that they turned into Mind Flayers had some kind of influence upon the finished Mind Flayer, which would of course horrify them, because that means that they're kind of being corrupted by their supposed victims. So that made more sense as a reason to dislike sorcery in particular, than now they just think they're all about psionics, so they hate arcane magic for no good reason. I do not really like any of the 5th edition lore changes to Mind Flayers. They made them much less interesting and much less logical.
But not to worry. Should you transform, I will happily perform a new examination.
That doesn't really help, although of course we could just get, resurrected after that, but whatever. I don't know if we have a reason to tell him about that.
Of course.
Yet. We don't have much reason to trust him so far.
But I have an idea.
Oh, perhaps I should start taking notes.
There may be a way to bypass that stasis. There are many alchemical substances that can influence the mind. I do not intend to shatter its protection. I need only bypass the...
This does seem like probably the best way so far to get information about what's going on, so it seems worth pursuing. We have no other avenues to give us actual information, just possible cures without knowing what's going on.
A tincture distilled from a
The Underdark is all about mushrooms, which just happen to be exactly as edible as surface plants, farmable in fields, and so forth.
psionic influence. I would require a fresh tongue of madness and Timisk spores.
This is one where I don't know of multiple ways to complete this quest. The only way I know to get both those ingredients at once is to go to the Arcane Tower.
Can be quite dangerous.
Maybe they'll show up on alchemy lists some other way. You could wait higher levels or something, but at least for me, it seems like you actually do have to go to this one tower, which isn't so great. Some of the other quests that have multiple paths, but it's just kind of average, so I won't say I dislike it.
The Underdark, of course, although they are quite rare, and their discovery perilous. I imagine Lenore would have them in her possession. She served Mistra as a cleric.
That doesn't quite explain why she'd have them.
She is quite fond of her garden.
Now, this is interesting, because we know this is not actually true from some notes. She once had a companion and probably lover named Ire, the Spellstruck. We found some of Ire's items so far. So that might have been all before Blurg's time, basically. That's how I interpret that. Sister Bark sounds intriguing, actually, because we were looking for that for our attempts to work on this masterwork weapon. So now we're interested, I would say.
May your travels be safe and swift.
Alright, so let's see what happened with VSync and whether that turned itself off. It seems to change itself pretty often. No, it is still off. Okay, that's weird then. Well, I'll save it, try a few other graphics things, then come back. Okay, let's try this. He's a decent shopkeeper. We'll want to befriend him because we can then buy and sell some things with him later on.
I do enjoy a good bargain, if anything in my private collection is to your liking.
So let's give him... It now costs us 800 gold to fully befriend a merchant, which is a lot compared to how it was at 400 at level 1, but, affordable. Honor difficulty making things more expensive is what's making it hard to acquire money. Normally I'd be pretty rich by this time. In any case, I'd probably better sell some of my wares, which I don't want to do because I'd really rather be waiting until I'm level 5 and get the best deals, but I need to get 800 to give to the next merchant too. I'll try to only buy what I really need at this point, I would say. And I'll sell things I don't intend to use, like that. These are kind of combat-only buffs that I just would not normally want to use and spend my concentration on. Dark Vision is pretty worthless. We have so many sources to speak with dead, we don't need this anymore. This is like a spell that's worse than a cantrip, basically, once we hit level 5, so probably not going to use that. That could be useful. I've said before how bad Witch Bolt is most of the time, except for certain specialized builds that make it just okay. Don't think I need those given that they're bugged. Okay, so from him, we don't want to buy too many things yet. We'll come back for some of them later on, I think. We do want, I think, Melf's First Staff is our first staff that increases save DC and spell attack rolls. Good for my Warlock character. Good for other, casters sometimes, but good for me right now, especially. And the rest of the things, he has some good items, but I'll come back and buy those later, I think, when I have more money to spare. Like these, to ignore difficult terrain, that's pretty darn good. You want access to those, but for now, I'll just take the bare minimum here.
Very well.
Okay, so Melf's First Staff goes on. Let me sort by type to get things more organized. And let's go over to our next merchant. Moving carefully. You can get blown away by these mushrooms right here in the seemingly safe zone if you're not watching your step. Somewhere over here there's a little... Yeah, everything here is stealing except for this one acorn truffle, which... Oh, yeah, what? Didn't watch my step there. Which I think is just to let you know that there is another entrance to the treasure room in this general area. So, let us try to acquire that. Get the XP, and then we can get back down to that merchant. And we'll talk to Sovereign Glut over there. The other sovereigns. Let's peculiarly have two here, which I think is interesting and leads to some good quests.
Far you've come. Reach into memory. Tell me of...
He's pretty friendly at this point, although that will change later on a bit. So this is just stupid Dark Urge stuff. Now, I don't know why I have that memory at all, given that I don't have my Dark Urge memories. I used to think I got that because before talking to this guy, had done the quest already that gave me back some of my memories, but I've got it here anyway, I guess.
It cringes in response to your sight.
They can't live in the service world. I think pretty much no matter what you tell it, it hates it. Even if you tell it something that would seemingly be at home for it, like the damp dungeon where Astarion grew up. Well, not grew up, but was a vampire for 200 years.
Duergar destroyed my people. I am a sovereign with no circle. This circle...
They took him in as like a refugee and shelter him and protect him. Just like the gnome. He's just kind of an ungrateful jerk.
The song. You mean to cleanse the Duergar rot. I mean to join you.
I think he's pretty well designed to kind of look like a flabby, fat, humanoid chest, despite just being a mushroom that probably doesn't actually have fat. It's an interesting design, I would say.
In death, your foe becomes your...
This is a really cool ability, actually. You can reanimate almost any kind of monstrosity creature you can find down here, or the humanoids, which just gives you access to, unique possible allies, including some of the bosses, actually. It's, I think, a very fun ability. I regret that you can't knock the Phase Spider down here anymore like you used to be able to, because I've never actually got to play with her, but having her under my control would be, I think, pretty fun.
And I will follow. We cleanse the rot together.
Well, he is a decent ally, but he's very slow. You can fix that to give him Long Strider a bit, and above all, give him Long Jump, because he actually has quite good strength. So if you can get him going, he can jump pretty far.
Looking ahead,
Alright, now let's talk to this other merchant.
I should speak up.
Seems the shrooms are letting in more people every day. You see a fella on his own on your way in. Dwarf. Balin's his name. Right.
Another quest we can pick up here.
Mind. My useless husband.
And she's awful, and we'll find out later on, so is he.
Surprised he's made a mess of it. Please. I know better than to promise coin to a stranger. He'll find his own way out, or he won't. I'll wait a little longer. What a bleeding waste it'd be to come all the way down here.
And Ballista's pretty horrified at this attitude. When he meets the husband and finds out more about his past, he'll come to despise them both, I think.
Well,
Now he feels bad for this guy, they'll probably try to find him, though. In any case, I will give 800 money. Come on. There we go. That should max out the attitude here. Okay, so she has some very powerful and expensive things. She sells hand crossbows. She's actually a better swordsman than for some reason than the smiths are. I couldn't tell you why. Let's go with Elixir of Heroism. Those are pretty useful. Basically, I want to buy things that I'm either going to use right away, or that will get reset when I level up and refresh the inventory. So I'm going to pick them up now before they go away. That's my reason for what I'm going to purchase here. I really want the Caustic Band. That is tremendously more expensive now than it used to be. It costs 15x more now in Honor Mode, which is painful, but it's really good. Just getting +2 damage and all weapon attacks for a start will be sweet. So I want that. What else does she have that I want? She has some magic items here that are less important. This one I want to pick up eventually, but it's lower priority. She's a great source in alchemy ingredients. Yes, please. I want to make more oils of accuracy. I'm sad she doesn't actually have any of them herself right now. This is kind of tempting, but I can probably go without it, because your money is tight for the time being. Yep, Elixirs of Heroism are pretty great for just getting bless on people that we can't normally bless. I do also think it's good to buy smoke powder bombs. They're pretty strong at this phase of the game. We could use a bunch of them to open up a certain wall later on. A little of sharpness. I found it's not as good as I thought it was, so I'll skip that one. Okay, so we need to get 1,360. That's a lot of money. We're not going to have that for the time being, so I'll kick this thing out and try to just get enough money to buy everything else, and then I'll sell everyone else's stuff till we get to the point where we can afford that. I think this dye we don't need. I don't think I'll use this many webs. I might use a couple of them, but not that many. Poisons. I don't like them, this kind, because the damage comes up only after the enemy gets a turn. I don't want them to ever get a turn, so, you know. Okay, let's add these wares. Equalize it. And sell it. And some of these other things we can probably sell too, like that. I don't want to sell everything that's in his inventory here, because I want to try to save some goods for when I can get a better deal on them. I regret having to sell everything right now. The things will get better when I hit level 5, and can get better deals. Alright, is that enough to buy the ring now? Should be close to it. Yeah, I don't think I have much spare gold, so I think I did that about as well as I could under the circumstances. I could save a lot coming back at level 5, but I want this ring immediately. Anyway, befriending her is well worthwhile because she sells other good things and she'll be the best source of elixirs and alchemy ingredients for quite a while here. Let us equip that ring onto a star and +2 acid damage in every attack from now on. That's very valuable, especially against enemies that happen to resist physical attacks. I'll talk to that Deep Wrath later on, I guess. Right now, it'll say it wants their master back because he no longer beats it if we talk to it. So, Balin used to be horrible and abusive, then he became helpless and had his mind broken by too many fungi and poisons and whatnot. And now that he's helpless, his wife abuses him. Alright, so off we go to where we're told the Duergar are. And we know they're going to be lurking there invisibly because that's what Duergar do. Oh, I should probably put on my disguise again. Let me do that.
Corpses. These creatures befriended Duergar.
I don't think these Myconids have anything useful. Myconid flesh is surprisingly valueless. Not even an alchemy ingredient, I don't think. Now, Kralik said she wanted to hear the Duergar side of the story, but what we've been told about them from like the corpse and whatnot backs up what the Mushroom King said. And so to find that poisoned, gnome there, and the other forensic evidence seems to back it up too. So I think Ballis at this point is pretty well convinced, especially given that we're about to find a bunch of massacred deep gnomes around this corner here.
But that will fit in my pack. A camp. Looks abandoned.
looks going to be obviously deceiving here. This is a surprisingly well-armed, magically armed Deep Gnome that was executed. Let's give this short sword to a star. Now, it used to, I think, actually activate not just when you use this sword, but when you use any kind of ranged weapon while holding it equipped to do the extra piercing damage. It doesn't seem to work that way anymore, so it's much less good now than it used to be, but it's still something, I guess. Let's get a starting out of a silly-looking disguise. He doesn't need it. Okay, that's better.
Stop me yet. Open up.
And assume just from the fact that these are called executed Deep Gnomes that we in character can see clearly that they were executed rather than being killed fairly in combat or something like that. Oh, man. Can't wait to get the new setup that will hopefully end this lag permanently. Or maybe they'll come out with a patch that will fix it at long last after having caused it in patch 5. We'll see. Anyway, we're going to go into stealth mode here and prep for this fight, because it's clear there's going to be a fight. There's definitely going to be Duergar down there. Glut can go into stealth mode, so that's nice. Some followers have more actual basic abilities than others. He can jump and go into stealth, so that's what you want. Companions that can't do those two things are much less useful. So here, it's kind of a multi-tiered battlefield, which is, I think, a really cool setup. But it makes it so that jump and featherfall are a great combination. I want that in all of our guides if we can get it.
Best thing ahead, or I'm lost.
So I think what I'm going to do, if I use guidance on main character and on Labeling Zell, I can be more likely to spot the ambush. And then if I have you cast Featherfall, I don't need that for many turns. It's probably for the opening volleys. And then I'll cast Long Strider, or Long Jumper, I mean, on everyone. Especially Glut can really use it to get into combat because he has a good attack, but is very slow. It's lacking up. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Time's wasting. And I think I also want to have someone cast See Invisibility. I know I have a scroll of that somewhere. It's on my class list for various classes, so I can totally do that. I don't know, let's give it to Lae'zel. It lasts, I believe, all day in this game. Now, there's a saving throw against it, which is why I want 2 people who have it. Main character has it, I want another person to have it so they can have 2 chances to have enemies fail. Alright. Then, let us get in there while this thing's last. Which they won't much longer, but we can tell there's something up, I would say. Okay, so we smell a trap, as it were. Someone's, safe against See Invisibility there. Someone's safe against it there. Now, the cool thing here is that they have this ability called ambushing, which, as the name suggests, indicates they're about to ambush you and get a surprise round. But if you hit them first, it's cool. Fair is fair. If enemies have ambushing, you hit them by surprise, they automatically get surprised, as far as I can tell. I like that functionality. I think that holds up pretty well. It feels fairly fair. So I think I can trigger the ones over here if I just shoot a bonus offhand attack at where I know him to be. Not what I meant to do. Let's click that. Let's click offhand attack range. I think he's thereabouts. So that initiates combat. I think everyone got pulled in. Maybe not everyone. Let's get Glut out of stealth here too. And we can have the Ravens join in as well. I could, of course, use the chance that they weren't in stealth to get an advantage, get free movement, but I try not to abuse that. I want to just be playing fair here, basically. So they are surprised. Now, Gek Cole there is quite dangerous. We want to take him out. He can cast Counterspell. I think he's the first enemy in the game that has that can negate various spells that could cast at him. It's very, very powerful in this game. But he can't use it while he's surprised. This is our chance to knock him off of that thing for some good damage. Let's go for that.
You picked the wrong fight, friend.
Did he really pick the fight? Kind of, I guess. Alright, good setup there. Now, there's an enemy there too. I just can't see him right now. But we kind of saw that little die roll come up there saying the guy was there, so. I could probably just shoot a bonus action attack through his tile, and that should reveal him, I think. That's about where he is. Okay, I must have missed him. That's fine. I'll have to use maybe like a water bottle or something like that to reveal him, but I can do that. There must be a path to throw a javelin at him there, but it can be pretty rough when it doesn't work. Alright, you know what? Feels like a terrible waste, but let's have her just throw a water bottle to reveal the guy. I do really hate some of the obstruction, things that should not logically block shots on this map. There we go. I knew it was somewhere around there. There's still one more invisible. We'll need to reveal him later. For now, I think I want to try to get the kill on that one, and then I'll have an extra action to use on the other guy. Do I have Sharpshooter on? I do not, and also don't have it on my hotbar. I've been meaning to put it there for a little while now. That's a good feature. If it'll tell me my real damage now, that is. Come on. That is not right. As long as it does the right damage, that's okay, I guess. There we go. It did the right damage, at least. This is now a guaranteed kill, if it hits. So let's go for that. Okay, it's not too surprising it missed, but hopefully this one will hit. There we go. So I'm invisible and can get a perfect shot for the next one. Do I have a way to fire down at you? Supposedly no. Okay. Then let's just go for you there, bucko. Ah. They're getting some decent luck so far, but that's okay. He can now cast Counterspell, so we want to watch out for that. Okay, there must be a spot that can hit him. It's unbelievable that there would not be. Can I knock him down further? I really want to knock him all the way down if I can. Ah, but it's lagging. I need to be very careful how I move here so I don't waste too much movement, and so I... Okay, that should do it. Pretty good damage for a bonus action attack, I would say. Now, I do not believe that there's no, like, path through there. Like, nothing is in the way. That little tiny thing... Okay, whatever. There we go. Going to fly over there so I can help out next turn while being in stealth mode. Wouldn't want to get hit. There is another one down thereabouts that I want to watch out for, too. Watch out for that little puddle of water. It's about 1 inch deep and it's instant death, so, you know, don't get knocked into it by them. It's very, very silly when that happens. I once, like, had a run ruined by it. Alright, there must be a way to jump down there. If I move correctly. Is one of them still prone? He is still prone. This guy can multi-attack prone people and only prone people, so that's probably the best thing to do. If he can get to him. Which he somehow can't. They eat up all of his movement. I don't get that, because jumping should just be a fixed amount, I would have thought. But I guess not. So, there you go. She lost all his movement. That is pretty bad. So you can counterspell, so I want you to die before I do much else. I also want to make sure I don't kill him with the object falling damage. I've learned from a commenter that you lose out all your XP if that happens. So that's terrible. This, if I turned off Sharpshooter, would be almost a guaranteed kill. Let us go for that. That would then give me another action to play with, so. Very nice. So now I can, with impunity, shoot a Eldritch Blast if I want to. Now there's still a hidden enemy here. Let me try to reveal him with maybe an Alchemist Fire if I can throw it at... I think he's in that location. So set him on fire and reveal him at the same time. There we go.
I will ascend.
He can throw objects pretty dangerously, so I want to avoid giving him a chance to do that. Unfortunately, I think I can't really save Sovereign Glut from him anymore, just because Sovereign Glut not being able to move after what happened. So, Glut will probably take a hit, unless the guy spends his time just, you know, dashing or something like that. Which is possible. I might do more damage if I just throw an object at this point, you know, than Eldritch Blasting. Not sure how feasible it'll be, but I think it's worth a try at least. My accuracy is not great, but my damage will be really good. Yeah, not bad. Can you just finish off... I mean, either of them, really. You're at 14 HP, so if I just turn back on Sharpshooter, I could Sharpshoot you, or not. It says I can't. What would it take to be able to Sharpshoot that guy? People are in the way, I think, is the problem. You've still got full movement, so you just, I don't know, take that shot, then get out of there. No? Okay, very well. Just get out of there. Okay, we've got just kind of a pile-up of people, I guess. So if I have you maybe walk a little bit to the side here, then you can get out of the way. And hopefully now that will allow Astarion a chance to get in and fire at that guy. We'll take it. 70% is not bad to take out the enemy. But I don't want to run all the way over there, so I'm going to climb back up here, keep my high ground, and have Astarion throw. I think.
Well, so much for peace.
Yeah, that's a fine spot to fire from. That should be safe. Come on. Okay.
Shall we dance?
Not enough movement, but I should be able to throw from up here, I'm pretty confident. Somewhere, anyway. It's nice that throw is kind of an arc, and that gives you an option for times when a flat trajectory won't work. With like a crossbow or whatever that is.
This could be fire, baby.
Alright, you're invisible, and should probably, well, hidden anyway, should probably try to stay that way, to avoid being instant killed by him. He will probably go for Glut unless he spends his time just buffing himself, which is also possible. Yeah, he's spending time buffing himself, I like that. That'll waste his time. Alright, this is a pretty well done fight, I would say, all in all. Not perfect with how Glut ended up using all his movement on that jump, I didn't expect that, but the rest was good. I think I avoided having anyone get killed by falling damage, which should have avoided found out, because that makes you lose out on the XP. A commenter told me about that little problem. Alright. I guess I'm counting my chickens before they hatch here. I need to make sure I actually kill the guy without fall damage killing him. But this should be okay. Do you have a way to get close enough that I can avoid having penalties? That seems close enough given the high ground advantage. Yeah, there we go. That should be good. Now I can turn that off, and this should be an almost guaranteed instant kill. Nice. I think I'll save it here and pick up loot in this place and talking to Sovereign Glut next time. Should be pretty interesting. Thank you for watching, everyone. And a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Frank Maidens, Master Knight DH, Jackie, Enlino, George Grin, Travis, Carlo Andrea 97, Cthulhu's Mum, Gregory, William Wakefield, Danny Hall, Jeffrey Morse, Dylan Wagner, Just Becca, Jack, Austin Livingston, Mishas01, Jacob Marshall, Nubiana, Till Fisher, Latinx, Discord Colossus, Nicholas Schmuck, Kostya Nesterovich, Vol the Great, Daniel Sedajicato, Luke, Frederick Bruin, Goman Blackrock, Dodo King 4, Marcin Bialak, and Techno Waffle. Have a great day, everyone.